And good morning to all those Bourbon and Kentucky Derby fans. We are live with my good friend, Master Distiller Chris Morris of Woodford Reserve, joining us live from Louisville. How's it been going, Chris?
Been going fine, Tom. Good to see you. It's springtime, thank goodness. And if I have a bit of a gravelly voice, it's because it's springtime and pollen's in the air.
Hey, it's all right. I was just telling you, it's always a treat to have a mint julep before noon. My wife just made me a little bit of a mint julep with some fresh mint from our garden, some Woodford Reserve, and we were just so thrilled last week to hear about the new $1,000 mint julep this year.
Yes.
What's it looking like this year? I know it's something very special, paying homage to jockeys, black jockeys that won in the early days, maybe how many years ago?
Yes, the African American jockeys, number one, won the very first Derby.
Yes.
In 1875, and they dominated the sport between 1875 and 1904. They won 15 of the Derbies. Several of these gentlemen won multiple Derbies, and so there were a total of 11 men who won these 15 Derbies, and they were professional athletes, obviously, and they were the only black professional athletes in the United States, I guess in the whole world, because of course the baseball wasn't open to African American players, and other sports didn't exist. So it was a big deal, and they were quite the celebrities. But again, as the Jim Crow laws came into effect in the turn of the century, they were forced out through segregation, unfortunately.
Right.
Been largely forgotten in many places. Of course, here in Kentucky, they're well known, and there are several initiatives that are underway to preserve a park that honors them, a cemetery where many of them are buried together in Lexington that's fallen into disrepair, and we want to make sure that they receive all the honors they are due. So this year we're honoring them, obviously, with a $1,000 mint julep program.
That is wonderful.
It's a little different than previous years. We've usually present the box, the cups in a beautiful box, but this year we have purses. Purses, because that, of course, is where the term comes from, the winner's purse, because as they crossed the finish line, they were literally handed a purse filled with money, cash. That was great. So we have a purse that is made by a local African-American artist. It has a Woodford leather, and then I'm turning it here with the camera, and then silks on it. And I've got one of the $2,500 cups here, beautiful gold cup. It has 2 silver jockeys astride their horses. We have the generic silks, because they didn't have all these unique silks that we have today. They all pretty more wore the same silk, but the color would be different to reflect the colors of the owner. And this cup is engraved with Oliver Lewis's name, Derby winner 1875. So Oliver Lewis won the first Derby, and this cup honors him. So we have 15 of the gold cups, and all the rest of the cups are silver, and you get a silver sipping straw like in the past. And the drink itself is a lot of fun. As you know, Tom, we've had sipped a lot of these juleps together over the years at the track.
Yes.
And they're all different. They follow the theme as much as we can. And it's like, okay, what kind of theme are we going to have? Well, there were banquets after the Derby in those days, because the Derby was run during the afternoon, not late in the evening as it is today for television. So these jockeys, the winner would be feted, the owner would be feted, the trainer would be feted, of course. And these dinners, banquets, were held at places like the Pendennis Club, the famous Pendennis Club in downtown Louisville. So we went into those menus. Yes, those menus exist from these great Derby banquets from the 1880s specifically, which is right at the height of their their championships.
Yes.
And we looked at a number of these menus, and they were eating exotic foods that don't really fit into a mint julep like like Maryland crab. No, not going to do that. Or
Maryland crab. What were some of the other things you found on the menu?
The lamb, of course.
Right.
Lamb with mint jelly. Well, the mint, we got that.
The mint's already in there.
Yeah. So we're looking for flavors that would go into a julep. And they were eating at dessert. They were eating lots of cherries in these dinners, ripe cherries with cream or even vanilla ice cream. Yes, they had ice cream in those days, hand churned ice cream. So because Woodford Reserve has both nice hints of cherry and vanilla cream in it, I thought that would be a good base. Elizabeth and I thought that would be a good base.
That's wonderful.
So this is called the Cherries and Cream Julep. And we start with our cup, and we're going to add some real cherry juice, about half an ounce of cherry juice. And we're not going to put ice cream or cream in the julep. So substituting a vanilla bean pod, about a fourth of a vanilla bean pod. And you know how aromatic those are.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll drop that in the cup, sprinkle a little sugar, give us a little sweetness, and then muddle that together. And boy, that vanilla note just pours out. And it smells like a cherry dessert.
Wow. Amazing aromatics.
Yes. No mint at this point.
Right.
We're going to fill with our crushed ice, 2 ounces of Woodford, more ice, of course, our silver sipping straw, and then garnish with a sprig of mint as you have next to the straw. So we don't have mint in the drink, it's in the aroma. And then we can put a vanilla bean pod right next to that as well. And you get a really spectacular different twist on the mint julep. And it's really quite tasty.
Incredible. And again, that's going to be the $1,000 mint julep, and raising funds for that great cause.
Yes.
Are there any left? I know they usually go pretty quickly.
They are sold out already.
They're sold out, so that's wonderful.
But
again, if anybody wants to, think about next year and also just look at that, WoodfordReserveMintJulep.com is the place to go. And again, the name of the nonprofit it's raising funds for, once again, is?
Oh, it's a long name. I can't recall it right now, but it's for the preservation and restoration of the sites in Lexington.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So it's raising funds for that great cause in Lexington. And of course, you all have been doing this for many years. You've raised just so much money for great causes over the years.
Yes, we've been very fortunate to have great fans who are interested in the program and contributing these hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for the causes. And again, if you go to the Woodford Reserve Mint Julep website, you can see pictures and you can get the story behind the charity, etc. And next year we'll have a whole new theme, so it's always good to check it out.
It's always growing. You're of course. Last year you weren't at the track, right? It was you were pretty much doing Derby from home.
That's right. We were doing virtual derbies. We had 2 derbies last year because things have been set in motion for the first Saturday in May. We celebrated the first Saturday in May, and there were celebrations in the state. We certainly had some first Saturday in May events, virtually, of course. And then we had Derby rescheduled for September, and we had Derby, and now we have a real Derby that we're going to be physically at the track to celebrate, but with reduced capacity at the track, of course. So it'll be very interesting to see how things go.
What are you most looking forward to about being back at the track for even though reduced capacity, but obviously a lot of fun? What are you most looking forward to?
Oh yeah, I'm just the thrill and the buzz of the crowds, the cheers when horses are brought out to the track, seeing the horses in the paddock, of course the call to the post, playing of the national anthem early in the afternoon. All those are just real emotional, stirring events, and it'll be great to be there with a glass of Woodford in hand to be part of it.
Yes, it will. It'll be good to see you again soon. Chris, and I always enjoy stopping by the $1,000 mint julep tent and having a sip with you and the Woodford team, and seeing all our great friends from Brown Forman. It'll be so nice to be back, and I feel like, this year there'll be a number of people. It'll be reduced, but I feel like maybe even next year will be like the biggest party ever, because there'll be hopefully so many more to be back, right?
Yeah, people really ready to let loose and get at it.
So you, I know I talked to you about this time last year and a few times since. You were making some really fun TikTok videos showing how to make the perfect Manhattan. What else have you been up to since we last chatted? It's not been quite a year, but it's been maybe several months.
Yes, and our big news is something we've been working on for some time, and our wonderful engineering department and our board of directors approved the funding for expansion of the distillery, which is needed to meet projected future demand as bourbon continues to grow, and of course, Woodford Reserve is a leader in the category. We're growing at double-digit growth month after month. It's just amazing. So to meet future demand, the distillery has to have increased capacity. So we're going to bring in 3 additional pot stills that will mirror the original 3 stills in the still floor. So we'll have 2 sets of triple distillation copper pot stills. We'll need more fermenters to feed those, and we have 8 fermenters. We're going to add 8 more, doubling the capacity. Because our building, our distillery building, as you well know, is a national landmark built in 1838. We cannot change the dimensions, the appearance of the building. So where does this equipment go? Well, the pot stills are easy. We planned for those originally, but the new fermenters are going to be in a part of the distillery that currently has our power plant. So the power plant has got to go. We've got to free up space. So we're going to build a new boiler room, if you want to call it that. It is a boiler room near the distillery, and of course underground pipes, etc., will feed the distillery, and it will look like it's always been there. Of course, we're going to make sure it fits in with the historic appearance of the site. So we have to build that first before we can move the boilers and then start the other changes. So it's going to be a phased construction over 2 years. You just can't snap your fingers and get it all done at once. So it's going to be very exciting, and we've been looking forward to it for many years.
And I know you've had to do so much work with the historical societies to make sure everything is protected. Yes. Again, those three pot stills going up where the other 3 pot stills are. I have a picture here. Let's. Can you see that? There it is.
There we are. That's
really, I haven't been there since the new pot stills, but if you've ever been there, those pot stills are so beautiful. These new pot stills really just mirror the same type of pot still, the same place, just right across, right?
Yes, yes. Now that is an artist rendering. We haven't actually put them in yet, but that is what they're going to look like.
That's what it will look like, and this will all be done. It's going to take a little while, but how long will it be?
We're looking towards opening or firing up the stills in 2022.
2022. Wow.
Yes.
Now, when you go about figuring out how much, because I know with the growth of bourbon, the expansion of your distillery, and especially the growth of Woodford, when you go about trying to figure out how much bourbon you need for all these thirsty Woodford Reserve fans, how do you do that? How do you figure out how much is going to be needed and how much to expand this by?
Well, certainly, I'm fortunate I don't have to figure it out. We have much.
I'm glad I don't have to either.
We have much better minds at work. So again, being a global company, we have sales and marketing colleagues around the world, and they are analyzing their business, their trends, what's going on with gin, vodka, scotch, everything, because that impacts our business. So what are the trends? And then they'll plot out those trends, and we go out on quite a number of years. Our our outlook is 12 years out. So those numbers come to Kentucky, and our brand team looks at them. They add all the numbers together, what's happening here and happening there. And then there's a review. Do the numbers make sense? And you know, and we do this twice a year, by the way. This is a consistent.
You really take a look at it.
Review. Yes.
Yeah.
So, because what are the impacts of tariffs that you didn't plan for, or something happens in this country, or, you know, some things you can predict and some things you can't.
Right.
But
how much you need.
Yes. But the bottom line is, we've got this number that's been built on good analysis, and you look at your distillery and go, we need this much whiskey 12 years from now. We don't have the capacity to make it with the equipment we have now, or we do. We got plenty. It just depends on what's. But obviously, in our case, we need more production capacity because the brand is growing. And,
because as good as all those mines are, both at Woodford and for all Kentucky distilleries, nobody really knew what would be happening. I mean, this is something that's really a trend that we've had to really keep up with.
Yes, I mean, gosh, if you go back, well, let's say we go back 20 years, we're predicting continued decline. The category is not growing. Now, there's always, we have to make the exception, Tom.
Yep.
Just because a category is declining doesn't mean individual brands can't succeed.
Right.
So while a whole category could be going down, you can still have brand or brands that are doing well. And that's what Woodford Reserve always has been. Even though we launched Woodford in the depths of the 40-year bourbon decline, we've always grown. We've always grown. So again, we've been very fortunate, and very small numbers at first, and now we're nice, significant numbers. But yeah, who could have predicted where the industry would be now? Which has been a great turnaround.
You all have done so great growing the brand. Of course, one of our favorite bourbons to drink, one of the most distinct flavors of any bourbon. As I've always said, when I grab a glass of Woodford, even if somebody hands it to me and they don't tell me, I know right away the signature flavors of Woodford. So again, you've had a lot of great releases this past year. You had the Double Oaked, back. You had the Masters collection. You're looking forward at this spring. You were just telling me a little earlier about the special proofing you do in the spring.
Yes, our batch proof. And our batch proof is a fun story. So we're batching together for a standard bottling run of our Woodford Reserve bourbon between 100 and 120 barrels. And that volume is dictated by what's the barrel yield. We're getting low yields or high yields. It also will vary by the flavors that individual barrels bring to the batch. And we might need to add more barrels that are spicier than others, or more barrels that are fruitier than others to get the flavor profile that we're looking for. So at the end of the day, we have a batch tank with Woodford Reserve in it. Now, because these barrels are coming from different warehouse locations and different warehouses, some will have higher proofs and some will have lower proofs depending on the location they were matured in. We have a 110 proof entry. All barrels of Woodford gain proof, as you know, because we heat cycle. But first floors are always cool, upper floors are always warmer, and that will dictate lower proof on acceleration on the first floor and higher proof acceleration on the upper floors. So each batch will have a different proof. Well, it can. I mean, there can be batches that can have exact same proof. That's a coincidence, and that can happen. But the batch will have a different proof. Now, we put that batch together, assuming that it's going to taste just perfect. Well, it doesn't always. I mean, it's going to taste great, but will it taste like Woodford Reserve at 90.4 proof? So let's say this is 125 proof, and this is going to be 90.4. It's really hard to get it perfect. So the first step is to reduce that high proof batch to 94 proof. We add our limestone water that's been filtered through RO filtration. So we get the proof down to 94.
Right.
You have a really darn good idea if it tastes like we want it to.
Right.
Because a 6 proof point swing is required for the beginning of differences. So now we're just 4 proof points, 3.6 proof points above our bottling target. And now we go, it's green to go, or yellow light, wait a minute, it needs more wood, or it needs more sweet, or it needs more fruit. And that's where we'll bring in some other barrels to adjust. Obviously, the proof will go up a bit because it will be a few high proof barrels in the 94. Mix, adjust, and then finally we can drop to 90.4 and we'll have our consistent flavor profile.
Wow.
This happens to be our highest proof presentation of the batch proof series because more of the barrels came from upper floors, so they had higher proof points. This is 128.3 proof. And if you did proof it down to Woodford 90.4, it most likely won't taste like Woodford exactly because we didn't have that adjustment.
Right.
And that makes it fun. So you have 2 variations to enjoy. Number one, the proof is higher and it will vary from batch proof to batch proof release. And then it's pre-adjust Woodford. So the flavor will have a slight variation. So it's just not Woodford at full proof. It's Woodford at full proof without the final finesse to make it taste the way we want it to. And what do we want it to taste like? Woodford Reserve at 90.4 proof. So this still tastes awesome. It tastes delicious, but it's not our standard. And we don't want it to be because this is something fun and special for people to enjoy.
And it's a whole, it tastes like Woodford, but it's a whole different experience. And it changes every year just a little bit what happens, right? I mean,
Yes. Yes.
What are you most excited about for this year's release? As you've been working on it, what do you like most about it?
Well, again, it's that very high proof. It's still very, very drinkable, very approachable, which is standard Woodford. Our pot still distillation, our long fermentation, as you know,
right,
really rounds out our product. And then the Woodford Reserve barrels. Since we use oak that's been seasoned for 9 months, we remove a lot of the tannic astringency. So we're not picking up a lot of wood character from the barrel at this even this high proof. So it's just a really rich, elegant Woodford Reserve expression.
Amazing. And that will be out. When will that be out again?
Very soon.
Very soon. The next few weeks.
Depends on where your location.
We'll be seeing that, be watching for that. And Chris, I know you all at Brown-Forman and Woodford have done so much to help support bartenders, those in the hospitality profession, especially during the last 13 months or so. We appreciate everything you've done to support the industry. As you think about yourself, as restaurants, bars are opening back up, there's so many bartenders in the world that have embraced Woodford in signature cocktails. Without playing favorites, maybe without even naming a bar, you're certainly welcome to. But is there a cocktail that you're looking forward to sitting down at a bar and having that you haven't had for a while?
Well, yes. Now, I've been making Manhattans at home. I like a Manhattan, you know that. So certainly enjoy a Manhattan out.
Right.
I'm not making old fashions, Bouvardets, Carvus, the real needs that touch from the finest of bartenders. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is drinking one of those 3 at the hands of a master. So I'll take any one of the 3. That'll be fine.
So bartenders, if you see Chris coming through your door, make sure you have one of those ready for him. Impress him with your best. Chris, always great to see you, my friend. Again, the Kentucky Derby 147 coming. We've been talking about the mint julep, $1,000 mint julep, and there's that purse once again in that beautiful cup. So beautiful, a very unique twist with that purse this year, but always something very special from Woodford as you all rolled that out. And hopefully we see you very soon, either at the Derby or someplace close by, Chris.
Same here. I'm looking forward to it. We'll touch glass together.
I look forward to it, my friend. And again, we'll have this up permanently wherever you've been watching it. So make sure you like and share that. And we'll also have it up on our podcast channel, which is down below right there. Cheers, Chris. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
All right.